Parish orphans and retrogrades. Parish orphans and retrogrades. On today's episode, we're going to talk about what just happened at the PC preliminary hearing of the Tyler Robinson trial. PC is for probable cause. In order for any criminal trial to go forward, there's a preliminary hearing where, although judges won't quantify what the burden of persuasion is, they will always admit that PC, probable cause, is significantly lower than the higher burden of persuasion that it requires to convict, which, as everybody knows who's ever watched a crime show, beyond a reasonable shadow of doubt. So all they have to do to go forward is show, prosecutors put on some evidence, preliminary evidence, that there's probable cause here to go forward. And of course, you're not going to be surprised. There is probable cause to go forward. It's pretty kooky to claim otherwise. You have lots of video camera of an alleged shooter on a building leading to an alleged shooting spot. Hallway photography showing something that doesn't look dissimilar to the alleged shooter. And
where would you be located?
It's enough PC to go forward. And that's what's taken place Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, following last 4th of July weekend. So I'm gonna go through the 9 or 10 important facts that were established at this preliminary hearing, which of course demonstrated, I'm not going to say anything different, that just probable cause was put on and prevailed on the part of the prosecution so that there should be a trial of this guy, Tyler Robinson, who is the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk. Less than a year under, just under the year mark until Charlie Kirk. We sadly look back on 1 year after Charlie Kirk's death. Now, it's not the end of the preliminary hearing. It's suspended until September at this point, meaning this is a natural time to weigh in. And that's why I waited until the weekend rather than doing a show yesterday. But there will be a little bit more preliminary hearing in September, not a ton of additional detail, and then the trial in earnest will presumably go forward as long as they meet the minimal showing requirement there. Okay. So the most important aspect of what I'm looking at today is not actually going to be comprised of the 9 or 10 established facts from this preliminary hearing. Well, I'm going to run through them for you, and I'm going to show you I'm willing to play ball, willing to, as someone with legal training, discuss, according to Hoyle, real evidence, and tell you why it's not a violation of the hearsay evidence rule, federal rules of evidence, that an admission by a party opponent against Tyler Robinson was allowed. His boyfriend, or whatever you call it, Lance Twiggs, said he confessed. This is hearsay, which is usually inadmissible, but it's admissible here because it was an admission by a party opponent. That stuff we'll run through. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at my notes here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Yeah, eight points of fact that were more or less established at this preliminary hearing. But the most important aspect of, I think, what I could do for my audience, you guys, the parish orphans and retrogrades, today is to zoom out and look at this whole configuration of what we call facts, events, and reasonable interpretation stemming from those events. That's what we call the fact, the set of facts. And say, okay, this is not a situation where upon wackadoodles want further investigation beyond Tyler Robinson. You know, there's, of course, Candace Owens has sort of been leading the charge on this is not Tyler Robinson, at least not him on his own. And there are at least 5 facts that are of public record which require answering, that if I were the defense attorney lawyering this beast, I would, as part of my job, be constructing a narrative, an alternative to the narrative proffered by the prosecution that comprises, you know, these 5 facts. So an alternative narrative which looks either wholly or partially away from Tyler Robinson. Facts like, well, you have here, I don't want to get into them right now, but you know where I'm going, probably. Charlie Kirk, the victim of this assassination, hideous, heinous, sad event in American history, within a month says, I think that my personal, religious, and ideological morphology is going to, if it continues unabated, and I think my thoughts through to their, you know, to the conclusion of the natural entailments of my ideological and religious conversion, I think Israel is going to kill me. I mean, this is a fact that 3.5 weeks before his actual death, the victim claims that he's afraid of Israel if he continues on the trajectory, conceptually, ideologically, that he's been on. So he claims he fears an aggressor. Okay, this is a Harrison Smith tweet. We'll show you the tweet later in the show, but it's a tweet that took place 3.5 weeks before his death, where Harrison Smith says, look, and this was no one knew about it yet. Charlie Kirk is saying that Israel is going to kill him if he continues down this path of turning away from Israel and turning, I'll put it in the theologically correct term, toward the true Israel, the church. The church, he'd been a Christian or whatever in this evangelical sense for all his life, but he was turning to Roman Catholicism. Okay, that's a key piece of information. Then 2 mere days before his death, a really important thing happens whereas before he'd said, look, there's a kill switch. If I continue down and X occurs, I fear Israel will kill me. 2 days before his death, that kill switch, that eventuation was thrown. It came to pass. Okay. And we have now public evidence, if you will, a 8 or 9 part text conversation that all parties have owned up to, all named parties have owned up to, where Charlie says, look, I can't support Israel anymore. And, you know, you have sympathetic pro-Israel parties as part of that conversation. One of them is Josh Hammer. And so now, together with the Harrison Smith tweet from 3 weeks prior to that kill switch event, he said, look, if I come out and I say I can't support Israel anymore, I fear they're going to kill me. 2 days before his death, which is about 3 weeks after he says that, he comes out with it to very pro-Israel parties that are very connected to Israel, like Josh Hammer. He says, look, I don't support him anymore. Thirdly, this is all owned up to by what we would call party opponents. Josh Hammer, the next day has, at some point in the day, has a phone conversation with Charlie Kirk and a rabbi. I mean, that's crazy. The day after Charlie Kirk says, look, I can't support Israel anymore. So that's important. And then none of this is anything that we're going to be discussing when we discuss the proper, in earnest, preliminary pretrial. But, you know, one day before his death, Josh Hammer has a phone conversation with Charlie Kirk and a Jewish rabbi. Now, what happened in that phone conversation? Well, all we have is Josh Hammer's word for it. But that's one day after the kill switch is thrown and Charlie announces to Josh Hammer and other pro-Israel parties, I'm not pro-Israel anymore. I'm more against Israel. I can't support Zionism anymore. You know, that all the tropes are seeming to be true. Everyone's seen that tweet. The social media posts about that text conversation, that thread. Candace turned that stuff over. The same day, the day before that he has the conversation with Josh Hammer, very pro-Israel Jew, Josh Hammer, and some rabbi about my word knows what exactly. He says, he says in what's taken to be either a protected text conversation like WhatsApp, he says, I think they're going to try to get me tomorrow. You know, he doesn't say who they are, but there's context for this. Oops. There's context for this that tells us who they are. I think they're going to try to get me tomorrow at UVU. These are all facts that like absolutely linearly form an undeniable chain of things that a defense attorney for Tyler Robinson are going to be like, I'm not Israel, right? This guy was let's just, by way of concluding this, the fifth point is Erica Kirk's strange response to the fact that her husband, who she, submitted to and believed and wanted to carry forward his mission, she knew her husband feared Israel, and she has hand waved away every time it's come up since his death. Israel couldn't have been in on this. What does she know? She has no special info, right? Or does she, kind of thing. But she has no reason, she has no ostensible reason to know enough to hand wave away these four crucial facts. And like, if you choose this deferent wife that just wants to bring Charlie's vision to, this says nothing about Erica's other odd behaviors, which I'll also get to. She has not enough information to know who killed her husband. Oh, it's definitely Tyler Robinson. It's everyone. Don't look at Israel. It's not Israel. Imagine Jackie Kennedy doing this after JFK was dead. She shut her mouth and acted like a normal grieving widow. So we believed she was a normal grieving widow.
It's strange because for me, that's perhaps maybe the strangest thing of all, just on like a human level. If you had told me that you were afraid that blank was going to kill you, if you were just going to be murdered, and then, some days later you were murdered, I would definitely be thinking like, okay, there has to be a correlation here, or at least I'd want to investigate that. I'd want to like run that down to the extent that I could. The fact that she would come out so quickly and say absolutely not, they had nothing to do with it. Like, okay, but
that's weird.
It is weird. Because for me, it's like, even if they caught a guy that was, that even said, hey, I shot this person and I am the murderer, still part of me would be like, is this a patsy? How, the timing is just remarkable.
Of course. What you mean is the timing of, in this hypo that I hope doesn't come to pass. I desperately hope doesn't come to pass.
Yeah.
Of me saying, hey, I think this guy named like Davy Jones is gonna take me down to his locker in the depths of the sea.
Yeah, and then you drown, and I would be, and then I would be like, okay, from my perspective, I would think a widow would be like, investigate every single possible avenue.
Down. Yeah,
like there's nothing that's not on the table. So for her to come out that quickly and say that her husband was definitely not murdered by Israel. It's like, I know a lot of people are skeptical of the Israel thing, but if you think about it in a way that I think a lot of other people are on the internet, where it's like, this guy was making a lot of headway for Israel. And if he's going to switch alliances, this was a very powerful organization. Like, we know these things happen. We know that, you know, people get assassinated and murdered for all sorts of reasons. So for me,
Israel,
by Israel,
the leading state sponsor assassin in world history. There's no country that
there would be nothing that would, I don't care who it is. If you said it was, if you were afraid of whoever killing you, I don't care who it would be. And then you died, I would be like, investigate this to the hilt.
Well, so would law enforcement. Okay. Law enforcement would do their job. And if some guy had said, hey, I think there's going to be foul play and attempt on my life, and he's saying this the last month of his life, and he's pinpointing, I think it might happen tomorrow, and then it happened to not investigate that party, that victim, you know, Vinny the victim, we'll just make it a law school hypo. Vinny the victim says, I think I'm going to get got tomorrow. And I've been afraid of this since I threw this kill switch a couple weeks ago. I'm afraid that these guys are going to get me. And then he dies the next day. Okay, so what? This is the 35, maybe 45,000 foot view. We have people, friends of mine, that I like and respect, like Erica. Like Nick Fuentes, like Andrew and Rachel Wilson, who, you know, I can always brook among friends a legitimate diversity of opinion, that are saying, you know, look, I just think it's Tyler Robinson, and dust off our hand. We haven't even had a trial yet. So the lawyer in me is like, what? But I get it. You know, you think this is going to be an open and shut case. Here's what I don't get. Okay. You know, like, it's one, I do agree. There are many conspiratards now that think the fringiest position out there is the truest. And I'm just not hip with that. You know, I'm not hip with that on the fringier views on science. You know, you guys noted, many of you noted that with regard to even the young earth, old earth debate we recently did on the channel. I'm not just always down with the fringe perspective. And this is kind of something that Nick Fuentes has been saying, very capably expressing and toning this view that it's kind of dumb to be down with every conspiracy. You know, okay, look, there looks to be a lot of really good science, and the church says we're open to do geology, and we don't have to interpret Genesis 1, 2, 3 literally. We can do, it's totally open that way up. So I'm like one of these guys that's not always just looking to be fringe and say everything's a psyop. And so I agree with Andrew, Rachel, Nick, in theory on that. But here's the thing, man. The alternative narrative, and I'm going to lean into this more, that really is circumscribed by Charlie Kirk's religious conversion. And I had a long conversation with my friend Jesse Romero today, is really at the center of this. If you convert from evangelical to Roman Catholic in a knowledgeable way, not a boomer way, I'm not every boomer, but most boomer Roman Catholics got brainwashed by evangelicals on Israel and Judaism. Okay, so leave that aside. But if you're a smart young guy, if you're under 50 years old, under 55 years old, and you convert to Catholicism late in life, which was happening, which absolutely was happening, then, and that's another thing. Erica sort of has all but denied this, that Charlie was converting. Then you're going to know the score. And the score means a Roman Catholic is not a Zionist, does not like Israel, does not have this cozy relationship with Judaism. evangelicals do with their Schofield Bibles and their dispensationalism. And so Charlie's turn from Israel to the true Israel is conceptually at center here, which is what's so strange about Erica's semi-silence and insinuated denial that Charlie he had a Catholic funeral. I'm going to talk to you about what Jesse Romero told me. I'd heard some things about what Jesse Romero knew, so I called him today, and he verified the things that I had heard. I don't like to go on here and say I do my own research. So here's the thing. I'm not a conspiratard. Nick Fuentes, no, and none of them have said it about me, but they've said it about people generally that don't accept the Tyler Robinson lone gunman theory. This gets really JFK-ish, the lone gunman theory. So they've never said I'm a conspiratard, but I think, our good friend Rachel said sounded like she was saying anybody that believes this wasn't a lone gunman job is a conspiratard. And I'm like, I don't like conspiratards on the one hand, but here's the other hand, okay? The other polar opposite there. Retards, outright retards. So you could be a retard NPC that buys lone gunman. I think lone gunman theory is retard territory, and maybe lone Israel might be conspiratard territory.
Like you believe that Tyler Robinson was there on the roof, and
the lawyer
most likely most likely fired the shot. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's such a thing as patsies, where the patsy doesn't know. Look at the Lee Harvey Oswald model for this. Doesn't know everything that's going to go on, but you get some crazy, angry young white man, crazy loserish young white man to recruit him the way likely Israel got Lee Harvey Oswald, now that this is all but accepted theory. You don't give him all the info. You're going to kill him. You're going to Jakob Rubinstein him the day after he does his job or whatever. And the fact patterns can differ. And he has a quarter of the information. And the 3/4 of information is where you're going to sell him out, which is precisely what makes him a patsy. Oswald's the one that said he's a patsy. I don't know if anyone knows what the term patsy means, but for Lee Harvey Oswald, who said, quote unquote, I am a patsy. Now, we haven't really heard from Tyler Robinson, but I just think basically if you think Israel did this all alone, and that this is where I am right now, and I am a trained lawyer, so I don't really like saying stuff before a trial, but where I'm at right now is that if you think it's Israel all alone and that Tyler Robinson had nothing to do with it, this starts sounding pretty conspiratard. If you think, on the other hand, that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman and he did this just to be a hero in the trans community or something like that, then you're in just NPC retard. So it's conspiratard versus retard territory. And I think the obvious thing no one seems to be talking about is patsy territory. You just have some vast thing where Charlie said, he didn't say I'm afraid of Tyler Robinson. He said, I'm afraid of Israel. I am converting. He didn't say this publicly, but this is Charlie Kirk's worldview, the last month of his life. I am converting slowly to Roman Catholicism. I am converting to a Roman Catholic ecclesiology, and I will tell you what my good friend, one of the best men, I think, on the planet is Jesse Romero, just consistently one of my favorite lay Catholics. And like everyone's, he stays out of the shit. He's only helpful. He's only ever on the right, generally right side of things. He's not a thorn in anyone's. He's just a good, trustworthy man.
I wish it was my dad.
Well,
he's like the Mexican dad I never had.
Yeah, you do have a Mexican, but and Anita too is why Steph and I really love and have a lot of respect for Jesse and Anita. But I can always call him. I can always say, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" And that's what I did today, because Jesse he doesn't mind me saying publicly, he was in dialogue with Charlie in the last year of his life, because Charlie had expressed to Jesse, look, I don't know what to think of ecclesiology, but I'm Catholic curious. And Jesse's like, cool, well, let me send, you know what I do for a living. Jesse Romero, I write books of apologetics, and I'm going to send you my book. And he read it. His secretary.
One faith, one church.
You go. If anybody has questions on sort of simple, broken down ecclesiology for the layman, go get Jesse's book. What's it called?
One Lord, one faith, one church.
One Lord, one faith, one church.
Read, right? 2 weeks ago.
Charlie read this sometime before his death in the last few months. I forget the timeline, but here's the thing. He told Jesse, yeah, I'm curious and I just sort of need to see how your ecclesiology works out. And Jesse knew where he went to church, and other people that Jesse's put me in contact with, respected, decently well-known Catholics, were seeing Charlie at daily mass, and he was saying the daily rosary, and he had a confirmed Catholic funeral. So this is an interesting issue, one, because the Charlie Kirk event is one of the most generation forming, culturally important shockwaves that's struck America since 9/11, maybe the leading one in 25 years. But also because we're a lot wiser, the right-wing public, than we were at 9/11, especially about the most evil country on the planet, who does stuff like this all the time. They have like 1,700 state-sponsored confirmed assassinations. They're the only country that does this openly, this freely, this frequently, state-sponsored assassinations. Look, if you're going to do something that goes against the liberal utopia, left, center of leftism in the world, Israel, we're going to kill you. We're going to rub you out. That's just how they have always functioned since 1948. What?
It's kind of the thing they do.
It's a well-known thing. Exploding pagers, they were exploding microphones. Some are suggesting the exploding pager thing is a well-known phenomenon, a recent phenomenon. And I would just say that you can't be called a conspiratard for, I want to nuance, because no one's nuanced or distinguished to the fact, stipulated to the fact that I do think I'm going to run through it right now. There's a lot of evidence linking Tyler Robinson to the scene, to UVU that day. It's not as direct and smoking gun as some of the TPUSA goons would say it is, but it's pretty good, as a lawyer. And I'm going to go through those 8 things that I think the big 8 points that were established by this week-long PC preliminary hearing, but none of them point away from Israel in the least. Right? None of them point away from Israel. And that's not what it is to point at Tyler Robinson. Real fast, I want to say a word to you about real estate for life. If you need to get out of your home for any reason, my favorite reason is if you're a denizen of a blue state and you want to move to a red state, that's, I think, the best reason. But any reason whatsoever that you want to make an in-town move or an in-country move, go to www.realestateforlife.org. Lots of people are doing it in the summer. We always see the most action in the summertime. It's a great time for a move. Moving is sweaty and hot, but it's a cheery business moving to a new part of your city or your state or your country when, the days are long. Go to www.realestateforlife.org today. It's a big thing that I believe that you should live around people that are alike with you, like of mind. Thomas Aquinas believed it. Aristotle believed it. All the classical Republican theorists believed it. And you can't continue to live in a blue state and feel good about it. You know the name of the game. realestateforlife.org. Also, please continue to subscribe to the channel. If you watch with any regularity, we really need your help. And it's really great when we see movement. We've seen a lot of movement this summer. It had been kind of hard to get you guys to subscribe in the spring, but summer was really good. We're trying to keep that momentum positive and flowing. thank you very much. That's the best way you can support the channel. If you want to take the next step up in supporting the channel, Locals is where you can do it. Rules for Retrogrades at Locals, or Timothy Gordon at Locals. That's how we keep the lights on here, and we bring you, I mean, I guess myself, together with producer Steph over there, the lovely lady, we bring you a unique product. And, you know, it's not the 6 books associated with the channel, or, you know, the two upcoming documentaries, but everything we do here, the coaching, with all the matchmaking, the support for Catholic patriarchy, Catholic subsidiarity, no one else is out there doing it the same way. So if you have, you know, 10 or 15 bucks a month to send to us on Locals, especially that 12 mark is where we send you the Parish Orphan Patron Pack, then do so there. Also, my newest partner is the St. Joseph Precious Metals Partners. You're going to be hearing about this a lot. I only partner with people I really believe in. And that's why you guys, in an outsized way, listen to me when it comes to real estate for life. Same thing with getting your precious metals, gold and silver, in an unstable economy, you know, full of trade wars and untoward actual foreign wars. The best way to shore up your personal finances is with gold and silver. And the St. Joseph Partners are the people I would go to, because I bought gold and silver from them about 4 years ago, just happened to check on my portfolio about a month ago. And I was thinking to myself, it would be great to partner with them. I don't take on many partners because I don't believe in really that many companies out there doing good Catholic work. But this is a Catholic precious metals company. And they reached out to me last week, and I said, let's do some business. So you're going to hear probably the beginning of the show, I'll talk about them, and the end of the show, I'll talk about real estate for life. But these are 2 companies that I really feel good about partnering with. Let's discuss now, and this is going to be fast. I'm not throwing all my analysis at you. At the preliminary hearing, the 8 big points that came out, and then I want to get back to making a few points about the conspiratards versus the retards on this one.
And then we'll take some calls at the end of the show. So
if you're on the side of the conspiratards or the NPC retards, you know, you think it's either lone gunman Tyler versus lone exploding Mike country Israel, then I think that the evidence strongly supports some combination thereof.
And the link is in chat. If you want to join the show, you can queue up now.
Okay, so this is just a preliminary hearing. What started Monday, you know, as in 5.5 days ago, ended Friday, was the preliminary hearing. It's not a trial. The legal standard here is probable cause, just to enable the actual trial to eventuate. Probable cause is a lower showing, evidentiarily, a lower burden of persuasion, for obvious reasons, than beyond reasonable doubt, which is the highest evidentiary persuasion level at law. The middle evidence level is called, clear and convincing evidence. Preponderance of the evidence means you just show 51% more likely, you know, just tip the scale a little bit. Probable cause is below even. But judges won't quantify where these burdens of persuasion are. What is PC? What is sorry, I'm blanking. Preponderance of the evidence. That one's easy. That means it's got to be 51-49. Clear and convincing evidence is like 70 or 75%. Federal judges always refuse to answer. Beyond a reasonable doubt is somewhere in the 95 to 98% issue, you know, but they won't quantify it. So this is a lower prelim hearing. Some evidence was challenged by the defense and can be challenged by the defense here, but this is not the primary forum to do it. The judge hasn't yet ruled on whether Robinson will be bound over for a trial. He probably will. Final arguments are scheduled for September the 1st. Final preliminary arguments. Okay, so this is not the trial. We're even calling it in the show notes the trial, but it's the final evidence and arguments on the pretrial. That said, Over the 5 days, prosecutors established the following 8 major points. Okay. There's extensive surveillance evidence available and allowed by the judge. Prosecutors presented surveillance video they claim tracks Robinson throughout the day, arriving at UVU despite not being a student. He wasn't a student there. I said he was a student earlier. Sorry. He walks around campus for a few hours, they say. And none of these are really clear shots of his face, but I believe it's probably him. Speaking with TPUSA volunteers, he eats at Chick-fil-A. Still, there should be some sort of cash register camera that would be a really clear shot of his face. We haven't seen any of that, though. I'm willing to bet that these are probably him. I'm just saying it's not certain. Moving toward the building from which prosecutors say the fatal shot was fired. A figure then descending from that building after the shooting and leaving the area. Now that doesn't prove that's him. So that's extensive surveillance evidence tracking him throughout the day that, I guess, beyond reasonable doubt has not been shown to be Tyler Robinson yet. Probable cause, which is lower than preponderance of the evidence, 30% or more, whatever it is. Like I say, federal judges are loath to quantify. People try to track him down at dinner parties and say, what's clear and convincing out of 100? What's, beyond reasonable doubt out of 100? What's PC out of 100? They refuse to be pinned down on this, but it's the only one we know is preponderance of the evidence has to be 51-49. Secondly, evidence of a rooftop firing position was relatively clearly evinced by showing. Now, it doesn't prove that anyone actually fired a bullet from this position, but a good shot position for an assassin. Investigators testified they found what appeared to be a prepared sniper position on the rooftop. An officer described markings consistent with elbows, knees, and feet on the roof where someone had lain prone to fire. A 200-yard shot in the prone position is a turkey shoot. It's basically impossible to miss. Your kid's sister could do this. So there's nothing. This is not a tough shot. All right, I'll give them that. Someone seems to have set up in that prone position from the top of the building, and it doesn't. No one's proven it's Tyler Robinson, but they say they can track him going up to the roof from the first major fact that they're saying was more or less established. Thirdly, they put on DNA evidence linking Tyler Robinson to the rifle. The prosecution has this is their strongest evidence, DNA evidence. Witnesses testify that Robinson's DNA was found on multiple portions of the alleged murder rifle. DNA also appeared on ammo, non-frangible ammo, which will come up later. DNA was found on the towel used to wrap or conceal the rifle. The state's forensic scientists testified the DNA profile was extraordinarily likely to include Robinson. The defense responded that the DNA mixtures contained multiple contributors. So this is the defense's response. They don't always respond preliminarily here, but they did. Transfer DNA is possible, meaning the sort of contamination. And DNA alone does not establish when or how it was deposited. So those were the 3 big points proffered by the defense. Fourthly, a former roommate testified Tyler Robinson confessed. Lance Twiggs. I don't know why we're calling it a roommate. One of the most significant pieces of evidence came from Robinson's former gay lover, Lance Twiggs, the tranny, the actual troon. According to this hearsay testimony, which I'm going to describe in a second, I'm going to give you a little evidence 101 briefing. According to this testimony, Robinson later admitted he had done it, the killing. He reportedly said he wished he had not done it. He discussed surrendering. Twiggs testified he was shocked and cooperated fully with investigators. Now, the basic rule in evidence, federal evidence rules, the FRE, it's usually one of the biggest pain in the butt classes in law school is evidence, because you spend about half the entire semester studying the federal rules of evidence on what's called hearsay. And again, most folks know from watching crime shows and the like, crime movie, crime, true crime documentaries, that hearsay evidence is not allowed. The general rule in the jury trial, remember, even James Madison said famously of the jury trial, according to the common law system, that even if every citizen was a Socrates, every jury's still a mob, because they get into because of, mimetic desire and the fact that juries can be manipulated by strongmen. That's not really the point today. But the general assumption underlying the jury trial, which you probably haven't thought much about unless you've gone to law school, is that people are full of bullshit. And P will put on its evidence that says things that are favorable for P, for the prosecution. D will put on whatever witnesses they can find that will present evidence that is favorable to the defense. The jury is not bound to listen to the testimony when they render their decision. They're bound, if the judge adjudicates that the testimony is legal, that you have to hear this, but you don't have to consider it, right? If P puts on a witness saying A and D puts on a witness saying A prime, the exact opposite, it's up to the 12 members of the jury to decide what's more likely. Who's BSing here? Who's telling the truth? And what's the basic tell there? A lot of folks just don't understand the courtroom drama, or even just the basic underlying assumptions which sort of prefigure the courtroom drama. It's that human beings are pretty good BS meters. There's another thing, TPUSA and the normies, the NPC retard side of this, they evidently way undervalued the fact that human beings are pretty good, not infallible, but pretty good BS meters, and that's why they don't like Erica Kirk. She just seems like a spook, right? She's clearly weird. But that's what we assume about the jury trial. The jury gets to decide whether the prosecution's witness saying A or the defense's witness saying A prime is telling the truth, judging by their body poise, their tone, their diction, their eye contact, their self-consistency. All these are measures that help us to survive day by day. I mean, remember, we're rational animals, but animals we remain this side of the eschaton. And have you ever seen two dogs that are about to fight? They're locked in tension right before they're about to fight. And sometimes they'll kind of go south, or sometimes it'll go north, I guess. And the dogs won't come to blows, come to bites. And they just walk past each other. Other times, one moves a muscle and it's on. Animals, even the irrational sort, are good at judging one another, sizing one another up. And the rational sort of animals, the ones with immortal souls, human beings, made in the image and likeness of God, are extra good at this. So we want juries to, anytime someone is offering a materially important sworn statement, to not just be able to launder it in by saying, hey, Jim told me that the murder weapon is a crowbar or whatever. No. Bring in the evidence materially, so they can look at it with the DNA on it, or bring in Jim himself, who claims to know that the murder weapon's a crowbar. So both sides, P and D, get to have a go at him and make him look like a liar. You get to cross-examine him, the guy himself. So what I was saying about law school is evidence is a class that's a kind of famously difficult class, because half of the semester you are doing hearsay. And there's a general rule against hearsay. Under the federal rules of evidence, hearsay is generally disallowed. But it's the rule that's swallowed by exceptions. So if you type in what are all the exceptions to the no hearsay rule federally, I'm doing it right now. I'm not going to go through all of them. There are about 40, I remember 47 or 48 law students will go through. There are so many.
Did you say it like mainly took up the whole semester?
It takes up like half the semester doing hearsay alone. There are other rules of federal evidence, but there are so many exceptions to them. You know, Rule 804 exceptions where the declarant is unavailable. There are what they call Rule 803 exceptions where the declarant's availability doesn't matter. You know, like an excited utterance. That's a rule. A present sense impression, a then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition, statements made for medical diagnosis, recorded recollection, public records, absence of a public record. Okay, so one of them is an opposing party statement of usually called an admission by a party opponent. So here, this is why Lance Twiggs was allowed to give admissible hearsay. Most hearsay is generally inadmissible. You know, B says that C said this about A. A is probably the defendant. You know, just go get C. Don't get B to do this. Get C himself. We'll bring on B to speak for himself, his interactions with A. We'll get C to talk about his interactions with A. But this is one of the ones called an admission by a party opponent. I've used it in this show before. This is a classic admission by a party opponent when Lance Twiggs says his catboy gay lover or whatever, furry gay lover, Tyler Robinson, came home or texted him before coming home, hey, I did it and I regret it. That's an admission by a party opponent. And that's why it's one of the, maybe it's 28 to 48 exceptions. There's more than that though. Exceptions to the no hearsay rule is in play and allows it to be brought in. But you probably have never thought of that unless you went to law school. Why can't we have hearsay? Because one guy's sworn in, right? Can we bring in B's sworn statement? Because B is sworn in, can we launder in as a sworn statement of C that B swears he said it to him? Like, no. That's not a good chain of evidence. Okay. So, you know, learn something there in general. That's why Lance Twiggs was allowed. Now, we'd love to hear from, you know, Lance Twiggs in the trial. I'll just say that. That's going to be key. And bear in mind also that Tyler Robinson he opted not to say anything in the pretrial, which doesn't mean much. All right, the fifth thing absolutely established. I'm going to go fast through the rest of them. Discord messages and planning evidence by Tyler Robinson. Prosecutors presented messages, they say, show planning before the shooting. The messages allegedly referred to retrieving a rifle from a drop point, leaving it hidden, wrapping it in a towel, watching the location, using a scope, engraved bullets. Remember the weirdo messages that he was alleged to have written on the bullets? The prosecution argues these demonstrate preparation before the assassination. Sixthly, premeditation evidence. This is really important for demonstrating a culpable mens rea when the proper trial, the trial in earnest, begins. Prosecution also introduced what they describe as writings or notes indicating advanced planning and intent. Those materials were offered to support the allegation that the killing was deliberate rather than spontaneous. But what most people misunderstand is that even a spontaneous killing shows malice aforethought. You can develop a culpable mens rea for doing a killing in a half a second, which happens all the time in gang fights. You had malice aforethought even if it was a quarter of a second. It's not like you have to sit around twisting your mustache the way that perhaps Tyler Robinson actually did with Israel. Okay. Premeditation evidence. Those materials were offered to support the allegation that the killing was deliberate. Number 7, brute demonstration from this week-long preliminary pretrial. Eyewitness and officer testimony. Multiple officers and witnesses described the sequence of events consistently. The immediate response after the shot, locating the rooftop, firing position, recovering physical evidence, and documenting the crime scene. And eighthly, Tyler Robinson himself declined to testify here. On the 5th day, Robinson exercised his constitutional right not to testify The defense instead focused on challenging the reliability of the prosecution's forensic evidence and sought limits on media broadcasting from the courtroom. Here's what was not conclusively established. The hearing made it clear that several issues remain disputed, whether every DNA sample can uniquely identify Robinson without qualification, not known yet. Whether all of the state's physical evidence will ultimately be admitted at trial. That usually not all of the physical evidence does get admitted to trial. Whether the prosecution can prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, you have to have a trial for that. If you want to hang someone, you got to have a trial, as they say. The defense's various challenges to the handling and interpretation of forensic evidence. Overall, the prosecution presented a cumulative case built on surveillance footage showing he was maybe there, DNA evidence, alleged planning messages, testimony from Robinson's former lover describing an admission, and physical evidence from the rooftop and the rifle. The defense, for its part, concentrated on attacking the reliability, the interpretation of that evidence, rather than presenting an alternative narrative at this stage. The judge has not yet decided whether the evidence is sufficient to send to the case to trial. Okay, so remember take all of that as pretty reliably established. That doesn't mean much for the NPC retard who just says, Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA insist that this was a lone gunman. The victim's wife is not presumed to know anything. Can you, Steph, weigh in on that? I mean, something terrible happens to a man. Heaven forbid any other new man. Heaven forbid myself, anyone. And the wife is saying it's definitely this guy before a trial. It's definitely not this guy. That would you? I mean,
I would be suspicious of everyone. Like if it were me, you know, like I would be suspicious of everyone, particularly the people that he was cutting ties with, and that he told me he was worried about cutting ties with.
He was worried about their response for cutting ties with him.
You know, and I don't want to be insensitive, but she is now the CEO of TPUSA. So, you know, there does seem to be a conflict of interest of who she's currently doing business with and the people that Charlie was trying to cut ties with and who we are, suspect of having a hand in his death. So, you know, it's not a good look for her to be the president for many reasons, but particularly because she has to keep this thing afloat, and everybody knows the evangelical money comes from Israel. Yeah, everyone knows that.
To and fro.
Yeah,
the evangelical money comes to and fro. There's a maybe not equitable, but there's a sort of rapport there where money is transferred to and fro. And I would say this: it's a Friday night. People should go watch Ollie Stone's JFK. What?
I thought today was
Saturday night. Sorry. It's a weekend's night. It's a weekend.
You're like, everybody knows it's a Wednesday evening morning.
As you know, it is the middle of the night, 1969, March. Yeah, sorry. Man, we've just been out work. You can tell I'm like all dark. I'm dark like a Mexican. We've been out working on this deck. I was doing it since a couple days before the 4th of July, just working on our deck, stripping our deck, rotten wood, hauling it away, just, using the crowbar, going back and forth to Lowe's and Home Depot because I'm buying them out of wood plank, 10-foot wood planks, because me and my boy, Gaby, and then, of course, my wife here, my half-wet Mexican wife, who can't keep herself away from physical labor. She sees it and she has to be a part of it.
If I hear power tools going, I have to be like there. I have to be
the Mexican
the Mexican in me is like, okay, I need to be a part of whatever is going on here.
And just a profoundly helpful human being. So me, Gaby, and Steph have been working on this for the last 8 or 9 days, just kind of all day, every day, sweating out there, losing just pounds of water weight. So I'm forgetting what day it is. But what I suggest you all do, Parish Orphans and Retrogrades, is sometime tonight or tomorrow, rewatch Ollie Stone's JFK. It's one of my top, probably favorite 25 movies of all time. And there's a lot that's really, really similar here. A lot that's really, really similar when you have a big public assassination that's caught on film, normies aggressively pushing the story that it's a lone gunman. You have a state-sponsored Warren Commission, Earl Warren. I think he's from Bakersfield, our hometown. Earl Warren led the Warren Report and concluded, against all this evidence of vast conspiracy, is a lone gunman. I mean, requiring all kinds of impossibilities. It's a lone gunman, silencing witnesses, sounds like killing other witnesses. I don't know who did it exactly, but I'm going to present you not what I think, who colluded with Lee Harvey Oswald. It's probably the same colluder here. But Ollie Stone, instead, I'll give you Ollie Stone's picture. He thinks it was a deep state comprised of the intelligence community in America all the way up to LBJ. I'm not sure that's wrong, but with a different sort of foreign operative. He thinks the mafia worked with them. And it was basically because JFK and his brother were going to pull out of Vietnam. And not a lot of this is false, aside from the, I think, underwriting primary motivation, I think, is Israel. But, you know, LBJ did something similar. I'm not saying Erica Kirk is LBJ or even did foul play, but when JFK was, as a matter of fact, about to end the Vietnam War, he gets assassinated. And the first major thing LBJ does when he comes into the presidency is he reverses course, known course, reverses trajectory vis-a-vis what his predecessor JFK was doing with regard to the Vietnam War. That's a bit fishy. And that's what Erica Kirk, who's not just vice president, but was his best friend and knew his vision intimately, she's really, in low-key ways, shut down all of the caution that Charlie was urging about Israel. Charlie was saying, I mean, this is what the whole 9-part text conversation that has been brought to the public eye, he says, look, I don't like Israel anymore. I can't trust Israel. The donors there are, you know, you're either with us or against us. Not only do I think they're going to kill me, he eventually said, but
I could read what he actually said.
Yeah, would you read what he actually said?
Yeah, let me put this on the screen. This is a text message that he has. And he says, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Okay.
Well,
so now Josh Hammer was part of that. Candace Owens was part of that. I think Andrew Colvett was part of that. It's 9 people.
I don't think Candace was on this one, because the next text was, please don't invite Candace. And I think that was Josh Hammer that said that. Next.
No, and then Charlie said, no, I'm going to invite Candace. And yeah, I guess she had it sent to her. Maybe she wasn't on this, but it was an 8 or 9 part text convo. And, you know, you guys know, I've brought it up. I've debated Josh Hammer in person. Very unpleasant little fellow. Snake, really, really, really rude. The rudest guy I've ever debated against. And Dave Smith has debated him twice. And Dave Smith was like, this guy's a total snake, totally two-faced.
He's a smug weasel.
Smug weasel. He was totally polite before the debate in the green room with Dave Smith. And then he came out and he was just like, I'm disgusted that anyone would even want to share the room with this guy. I'm disgusted to share the stage with this guy because Dave Smith is an anti-Israel Jewish man. And that's exactly what I experienced. I mean, not exactly. That's very similar, very concomitant with what I experienced debating in person for a Federalist Society at a law school in northern Mississippi.
And he's like
Josh Hammer. What? And he's like 3'7". He got really nasty. We were saying nasty things in the debate.
You kept making fun of the fact that he was Jewish.
Yeah, I was like, look, for us Christians, that's bad. Maybe not in your particular faith tradition. That's, you know, abortion, pornography, contraception. Because we're talking about the usages of the 14th Amendment with regard to Roe versus Wade, Griswold versus Connecticut, Stanley versus Georgia, Lawrence versus Texas, Obergefell versus Hodges. So I was like, look, in my faith tradition, these are all bad things. Contraception, abortion, sodomy, gay marriage. What's the other one? Pornography. I was like, now I know in probably your faith tradition, these are all bonuses, you know, but it got nasty because he's being so rude. And the point is, I'm just trying to stay 45,000 feet above. When a victim claims, I think someone's going to get me, and I'm pointing, and he says, you know, John Smith is coming for me. Then within a month, that victim is dead due to certifiable foul play. That's interesting, isn't it? When 2 days before, you know, 3 or so weeks later, after he says John Smith's going to get me, the victim had specified, he'd stipulated, well, I think John Smith will definitely get me if I throw this kill switch, this conditional. 2 days before death, we know, because we're just looking at it, the text conversation where he throws the kill switch. And he's telling Jewish supporters and Israel donors, I'm not going to support you anymore. 2 days before he died. And remember, he'd said 3 weeks prior to that, if I do X, they're going to get me. 2 days before his death, he does X. Then right after that, one of those potential conspiratants who is on that text thread calls him, we don't know why, by his own admission, Josh Hammer called him with a rabbi and they had a conversation. They were friends, Josh Hammer and Charlie Kirk, but Josh did not like that Charlie Kirk's going to remove his support, TPUSA's support for Israel. Remember, anyone younger than 60 hates Israel. Left, right, center. This is a totally generational thing. The only people in the United States who are younger than 55 years old and support Israel were doing so because of TPUSA. So Charlie Kirk was far more important to Israel's cause, maintaining U.S.-Israel support, than Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens. People have said to me, well, why wouldn't Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens get killed by Israel? Because they're completely unthreatening to Israel. Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes are anti-Israel. They're anti-Judaism. People know this. Who's really threatening to Israel, maybe you don't understand how means motive opportunity works, is the one link that Israel had to sweat equity and actual financial support and, you know, love type support, pledged devotion to Israel by Americans under 55. It was only coming from a pro-Israel TPUSA. That's why this kill switch of him saying, I have to remove support for Israel, they're bad. They're bad, man. And he was piecing it together over the last couple of years, even when he was seriously questioning 3 years ago what happened on with the attack. Why did it take the Israeli government so long to get there? Is this a false flag? Charlie Kirk was the first guy I heard talking about that. And it seems like the wheels in his brain have been turning since then. He was a smart guy. Israel's a really obviously wicked country. Dummies aren't going to, you know, only dummies stay dumb for long. And Charlie Kirk was a smart guy. Fourthly, the next day, maybe after his conversation with Josh Hammer and the rabbi, he says, I think they're going to try to get me tomorrow at UVU. By the way, Candace was saying this, and then she met with Erica Kirk in December. Remember that meeting, that summit? And I guess, according to her reporting, Erica said, no, I have Charlie's phone, which I don't know why she would have it instead of the FBI. I don't think he said that. And then she said, you got to check Signal. Check Signal and WhatsApp, not on his SMS text. Then she did. And according to Candace, after that, then Erica was like, no, you're right. He did say that to someone. We don't know to who. He said on some conversation, I think they're going to try to get me tomorrow at UVU. And then for Erica Kirk, then he gets killed the next day after, remember, by John Smith. John Smith's going to get me when I kill this switch. He kills the switch 2 days later, 1 day later, boom, he gets killed. Foul play. There's no possibility this is a natural death. And Erica Kirk has done nothing but hand wave away any idea that her husband, who she said she respected so much and deferred to so much, could have been right. According to Erica Kirk, there's no possibility this is Israel behind this, when Charlie thought it would be Israel. And there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that it's Israel. Did
It's
you?
strange to me because even if he hadn't said like I am afraid of this, if I were Erica, I would immediately think they might have a hand in this. If he was even without him saying anything behind the scenes, I would immediately be thinking, ooh, he's, withholding support for them. He's changing tactics. That would have been the first thing I would have thought.
And you have to understand, you can't miss this. The stalking horse that is the proposition of Charlie Kirk becoming Catholic, which Jesse Romero vouchsafed for me just this afternoon. I really think he was, man. He asked me for my book. He read my book and he started going to mass. And other guys like John Yep, who are also in Arizona, say he's going to daily mass. He had a Catholic funeral. That is a stalking horse for a whole worldview change. When you go from being a goofy Zionist evangelical with no ecclesiology, no tie back to the apostles or true Christianity, right? Aside from Bible, you read the Bible. You get a real ecclesiology. You get the real sacraments. You get hooked up with real bishops like a Catholic or an Orthodox. And you realize that the true Israel talked about in the Bible, bless Israel and you will be blessed, curse Israel and you will be cursed, is the church, the Roman Catholic Church. And that's why when you trade in your evangelical card for a Catholic card, if you're knowing it's a stalking horse for you turning against Israel, not only religiously, but ideologically, he'd been seeing how evil the state of Israel is over the last 3 years since the October 7th thing. And so it's really odd that Erica, who's also sort of Catholic, but sort of not, the way Charlie was sort of Protestant, but sort of not at the end. It's like they switched places. Now she's been very staid about confirming that Charlie was in fact becoming Catholic. Candace said it, and a bunch of TPUSA goons attacked Candace for saying that he was becoming Catholic, but Jesse Romero, one of the most trustworthy human beings on the planet, confirmed it for me this afternoon.
And furthermore, if Erica is there to continue his legacy and what he wanted, then why isn't she turning this thing Catholic?
Yeah, exactly.
There have been so many people that have come out that have personally seen him at daily mass and knew that he was wanting to enter the faith. If she's really there to uphold all of his wishes and turning and bringing TPUSA in the direction that he wanted, why isn't she
further to that? If she were there to continue his legacy, why does she not have a look at his stated on the record? Now you can go read it. You just read the message, removal of support for Israel. Instead, she's doubled down. She said, no way Israel did this. I'm really concerned by anti-Semitism on the right. And she continues to have the ship going in the direction, the TPUSA ship, going in the direction it was going in before Charlie had his morphological turn, before he had his conversion, just like LBJ. That's where she's just like LBJ. JFK was going to end the Vietnam War. I think there's more to it than old leftist boomer Ollie Stone thinks. It's not just about the Vietnam War. The leftist boomers were obsessed with that. But the metaphor is more valuable this way when we consider that LBJ might have had a hand in JFK's assassination or knowledge or whatever. And then he stayed the previous course, the status quo that JFK was about to change. Well, that's one of the dozens of strange things about Erica Kirk. We're told that she knows his heart best. She's the one that is there to preserve the continuation of Charlie's legacy through TPUSA and to see his vision fulfilled. Well, she's there to see his vision fulfilled. Why would she not take seriously what he told a bunch of Israel donors, including Josh Hammer, 2 nights before he died, which was, I can no longer support Israel. These are questions that need answering, NPC retards. And I'm not a lone Israel conspiratard, but that's a question that needs answering. Why is Erica so strange? Why does she have ties to Epstein? Why does she have ties to Ukraine? Why does she have this bizarre modeling drive for being in the limelight? Why does she have this whole past life that connects her to Israel, Ukraine? Her modeling agency has all kinds of questionable connections. She has questionable texts from the past, sound like grooming to many people. Why was she wearing that pleather cat outfit or whatever, the pleather suit, 3 days after his death, 4 days after his death? Why was she setting off pyrotechnics like it was the 4th of July, like America's 250th birthday? Back last summer was only birthday number 249. She should have been a grieving widow. Why was she the spookiest goon ever? Why could she forgive Tyler Robinson, who we still don't even know was the murderer, but not forgive Candace Owens just for wanting to poke around as to who might have actually killed Erica's own husband? Why is that unforgivable? Did Jackie Kennedy act like this at all? All these questions need answering. By the way, why did the FBI and the Utah governor why did they destroy evidence by paving up the ground 3.5 days after the assassination, and destroy the soil 9 inches deep and pave it up, which is right where
that's on the screen right now.
Residue would be. Yeah,
is that the new pavement? There's a guy that was on scene that did a video of it. The new paved over area.
That's completely bizarre. Did he saying stuff? Should we let him?
Sure. Do you want me to start it over?
Yeah, that's worth.
I don't know what his perspective is, but let's see what he has to say. I don't know if he agrees or not. Let's see.
What's up, you guys? You can now stand exactly where Charlie was hit at UVU. So, I believe it was right here. You can see that ledge right there above the button of my hat. That's where the person was prone. We still don't know who that is. But yeah, this is no longer barricaded. So, sad place, man. Weird vibes.
Yeah, so he's trying not to weigh in like everyone who's got sense, but why did they pave that up? They worked on a Sunday, which is a no-no in Christendom, but in Utah too. That's a Mormon thing. They had guys working on a Sunday, the Sunday after he was killed, within 3.5 days. Why was that paved up? That is destruction of evidence. Why has Erica acted so odd? Why did she turn around his trajectory toward Catholicism at TPUSA and anti-Zionism at TPUSA? Carrie Prejean Bowler really presented these questions in an important way, I think. Why is Erica not more fully embraced? I don't know if she's denied, but she hasn't fully embraced publicly his conversion to Roman Catholicism when there were TPUSA goons. I get all their names mixed. All these stupid names. Mikey McCoy, who is, they all have these childish names.
They all have a lot of K's in their name, like Culvert and Clevich and Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Erica with a K.
It's all these weird K's.
But they were all denying outright that he was converting to Catholicism because it's the stalking horse that stands for the proposition of his view on Israel, and that's really the topic they don't want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But why has she been so quiet about that? I mean, this comes from my buddy Andrew. He's like, contrast her behavior with not only Jackie Kennedy's, but even with Kobe's wife, Vanessa Bryant. After their death, she was just out of the limelight. Kobe didn't even have this ideological legacy, right? It's the closest thing Kobe had to an ideology was just basketball. He loved basketball. He wanted to be, what do they call that? Like a spokesman for basketball. He wanted the sport to grow because he loved basketball so much. Mm-hmm. So she just let his legacy speak for itself. Whereas Erica Kirk has really said, I'm taking over. I need to be away from my kids so that I can be with my family. I have another family. I remember her tweet on this. I need to be.
Well, I think most women, I would think I would want to be grieving privately. And I think that's what you're mostly seeing with most widows. You don't want to be in public devastated.
Of course.
That's not something I don't want people seeing me. I would disappear. from public view. And I think that's appropriate. I don't think you need to be somebody in chat. Let me play it. Or they were kind of sticking up for Erica. They said, Candace Owens is demonic. Erica is strange, ? I can't believe you're drinking Candace's Kool-Aid. She's pure evil. It's like, no, I just have eyeballs.
Wait, I'm not talking about Candace Owens at all, dude. I did a show. This is just so, people are so dumb. Who is this?
It's the name is Megan.
I don't know. I literally can't identify one thing Candace Owens has said about Erica Kirk. I'm not saying she hasn't said things. I'm judging myself. She is making appearances, well, away from her 2 kids who just lost their father, for the next better part of 6 months, the immediate 6 months after, in really inappropriate outfits, behaving really inappropriately toward other men. You know, the red pill will say she'll bring a date to your funeral. That's what it felt like to everyone with eyes to see. This is more a man thing than a Candace Owens thing.
It's just an eyeballs and an eardrum thing. I think everybody can see like what we're talking about here. Like it's just off. Yeah, it's off.
I don't know anything Candace Owens has said about it. I don't know if she's noticed the same thing that every man who's not a complete cuck has noticed. Like, this is a catastrophe. If your wife behaves this way when you die and is like, you know, acting weird around the president and vice president of the United States and grabbing their neck and
wearing pleather
pants, everything, setting off pyrotechnics, coming out doing the quasi rock star appearances. She is like the most unlikable public figure to hit the American public since I don't even know who. Maybe
Carrot Top.
I was going to go back further than Carrot Top. I was going to go all the way to like J. Edgar Hoover or something. She is so unlikable and so weird. And if you can't admit that, then you get out of here, man. Get out of the chat boxes. This has nothing to do with Candace Owens. She's just a creep. And wearing pleather pants is inappropriate anyway, but she's wearing them with it. She broke those puppies out within 2 weeks of him dying.
It's all indicia of just inappropriate grieving. And I know everybody says, oh, there's everybody grieves differently. It's like, no, not really.
Dude,
I'm sorry. That's just not.
We're not relativists on this channel. You grieve and it looks all the same. There's no difference in grieving. You're just upset. And if you love someone, you look like the opposite of Erica Kirk. Okay. So, and you know, to take over and to be like, I need to be CEO now to preserve Charlie's legacy. And then you reverse the 2 most important changes that were working in his life, conversion to Catholicism and conversion away from Israel. You're lying. That's a self-evident self-contradiction that she's lying. And also, you don't need to take over as a CEO. Charlie would have hated that.
And what about filming his dead body? Hello? Weird. Like when she was like, like filming his hands in the coffin, like creepy, weird. Like that's just so inappropriate. If I were one of his friends, I would take her by the arm and be like, what are you doing? You look like a psychopath. Like, stop this right now. Who films their husband's dead body and puts it on Instagram? That is just, to me, that was when I was like, nope, done. I'm done with this chick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with it.
We made a show defending her, saying our heart goes out to her. I thought she was Catholic. I thought she'd be doing a bunch of Catholic stuff. And then it was like day 2 or day 3. We were like, we kind of have to not walk it back. Because if, you know, even if she's a weirdo, but she's a widow and she's uninvolved, then she's just a weird lady. And I'm still sorry for her, which still is on point. If she's just the weirdest person ever and she's not involved in it, then she's just a weirdo. And the behavior over the last 11 months has been extremely hard to defend. 10 months. But we were ardently like, oh man, poor Catholic lady. But she has done everything but deny outright the 2 most important changes in Charlie Kirk's life at the end of his life: his conversion to Catholicism and his conversion away from Israel goy worship. You know, the worship of a goy, not worship by a goy. The last thing I'll say before we take questions, challenges, is that you might not know. There were unique IP addresses that were searching last July and last August, that is within 2 months of Charlie's assassination, searching UVU, the exact kind of rifle used. These were from Israel, Israeli IP addresses. And you're never going to get this. Guess this. Tyler Robinson. Now, I talked about this back in October, I think. Searching Tyler Robinson. Do you know, this is not like searching, I told Jesse this on the phone today. Maybe some Jew in Israel read one of Jesse Romero's great books and thinks, I want to be a Christian. And that's why you had an Israeli address searching for Tyler Robinson. Well, it doesn't work if you're talking about actual in earnest Tyler Robinson, because he's done nothing. He was a 22-year-old complete loser, tranny, furry, gay loser who, but we all agree on that, right? He did nothing of note. He did nothing that was notoriously good, of notoriety, that anyone in Israel could have been looking him up for. Also, Washington, D.C. has some unique IP addresses. July and August, searching some very suspicious things. But Tyler Robinson, why, if there's no foul play here, Charlie was afraid of Israel. Charlie said they would kill him if he threw a kill switch. He threw the kill switch. 2 days later, he got kill switched, it looks like, with very suspicious behavior on behalf of some of the other conversants in that now publicized text chat. And IP addresses in Israel, searching out Tyler Robinson. It's very strange. Okay. So yeah, maybe you're a conspiratard if you think Israel did it alone, but you're an NPC retard if you think this is a lone gunman. And I don't understand, especially the latter. Okay. So if there's a simple solution, which is named Tyler Robinson to this, and that's the full extent of it, one, that's a laugh. Go watch JFK. There are patsies. But then answer those 5 questions. Why was the victim in fear of being killed by Israel, as intoned, published 3.5 weeks before he actually died, 2 days beforehand? Published evidence that he was turning a kill switch in front of people who were very pro-Israel and very connected to the Israeli government. Thirdly, why did Josh Hammer and a rabbi call him a day before he died? Fourthly, why did he say in a chat, I think they're going to try to get me tomorrow at UVU? And fifthly, why has Erica Kirk acted so oddly and hand-waved all of this away? What extra info can she possibly have? Why isn't she more like Vanessa Bryant or Jackie Kennedy? That's just like, yeah, search everything. I don't know. I don't know if it was Lee Harvey Oswald alone. Check it all out. I want justice to be done. Why can't she say that? Maybe it's Israel. Why can't she take over as CEO and say, well, Charlie was turning Catholic, so I'm going to turn the organization more Catholic, and Charlie was turning against Israel, so I'm going to stop supporting Israel? Why does this look like regime change? Why does this look like LBJ in the movie JFK?
It just looks like they got rid of the problem so they can continue doing what they're doing.
Status quo.
Yep. I'm sorry.
Go
like
watch
that's
JFK.
just what it feels like.
Yeah, and you're kind of a retard if you're on either side of it, saying that it wasn't some sort of programming or involvement by Tyler and Israel. I don't know how it all works. I don't know how the logistics work out, but man, you don't have to be a conspiratard to just know those questions are important.
Okay, we're going to get to some calls, so feel free to call in. There's a link in chat if you want to take issue with what Tim said, pose a question or a comment. We have Lincoln has been behind stage for some time, and he was saying great analysis. He wants to comment on ballistics, so let me add him in. Hi, Lincoln. How are you?
Great. Thank you, Steph, and thank you, Tim, for this great analysis, particularly because of your connection to, Candace's husband and your debate with Josh Hammer. And I think this fits so much into what you've done. I've been listening to you all the way back to Summer of Shame and TNT. So it's great to talk to you.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, I read your book, Catholic Republic, and it kind of rang in my mind, where you say we're wired Catholic, labeled Protestant, and functioning secular. I think you're spot on all your analysis. And as you go through it, I can almost enumerate the podcasters you're listening to, and I feel like I'm listening to them as well, making all those connections. I just think you're bringing a great thing here with your JD and constitutional law, et cetera. I think we have to get to the point where we realize Oswald did get off a shot, and we think maybe a couple other people did too. We're going to have to kind of get to that point, right?
Yeah. 20 next year. That's supposed to be the big dump, right? Isn't it?
Right.
Isn't it 2027?
Right. And I think you're spot on with this whole Charlie discerning Catholicism, his level of discernment becoming higher. Israel is the fulfillment is in the church. And when you have these 1,000 pastors in Protestantism going over there and being infiltrated and kind of the low hanging fruit of low ecclesiology, as you would say. But
Yeah.
I think your biggest point may be is erudite as all your positions are and well thought out is your rational animal physics component, because you're a Mississippi guy who shot guns, and I've listened to you for many hours. And the whole 30-06 from that angle, physics wise, it just does not jive.
No. Well, notice I haven't even mentioned that when you can corroborate a bunch of evidence saying there's a lot more going on here, you don't even get to you don't even have time. I don't know how long have I been going now? An hour and a half? I didn't even have time for the ballistic stuff. But yeah, 30-06, not passing through and through can be quantified. Can it happen 1 in a million where, you have a neck bone of steel? Yes, but that can be quantified probabilistically, right? That's not common.
They've established that they don't think it's a frangible round. It looks like the box that he had were a certain grain that you'd buy off the shelf. This would go through him and 2 more people. There's just the angle does not work. No, it doesn't. Yeah. And the prosecution established it's not a frangible round, right? Right. It wasn't even the defense, the prosecution. Right. Shooting them. Correct me if I'm wrong. The burden of proof would be, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's going to be difficult. So I just encourage people to hang on. There's a long way to go here, but go ahead. My burden of persuasion changes for different elements. So I'm actually not sure on that one. It can be lower when you're not establishing dispositively like guilt or innocence, but I'd have to check. But I was just going to say, I don't know if you've seen this on social media, but it just felt like after the 5 days of preliminary evidence being put on, it felt like the normies or whatever, the lone gunman theorists, I just want to start calling it this. Everyone needs to go watch JFK. It's the lone gunman theory. I think I'm going to watch it tonight, to be honest, because there's so many analogies or contrasts if you talk about Jackie versus Erica. But I mean, like, I feel like everyone was spiking the football in the lone gunman end zone Thursday, Friday, today, and I'm like, what are you spiking the football for, bro? Yeah. I think Americans, by their nature, want a microwave response, very quick. We're going to have a speedy trial. We're going to put an end to our grief. This guy's life's on the line, and there is massive reasonable doubt that he was solely involved. I think he was involved to some degree, but he certainly was not the lone gunman, and I do not think a 30-06 round hit him. Do you own a 30-06? I actually don't own one, so I do not. But I've shot them, and there's just no possible way from that angle. It would have just been absolute. And the back, Candace has the vision from the back. There's just no possible way, Tim, unless there was a quarter inch of cold rolled steel in his neck. Right. No, I know. I've noticed I didn't even raise that, but I agree with the point. A fortiori. So we'll see, I guess. I don't understand why some of my friends on the right that I usually agree with. I mean, it's fine. It's not a personal thing. I don't get mad at people when they disagree. It's I don't know, temperamentally, most people do. It seems retarded to do. I'm not angry at Andrew or Rachel or Nick for being on that side of things, but I do get this thing where I wonder, have you not heard these basic facts? Like, Charlie was afraid of Israel. He said they were going to get him. I'm not a retard for taking him at his word. When someone says they're going to kill you, or someone who's smart, like Charlie says, I think he's not a paranoid weirdo. If someone says, oh,
there's a guy. What if you had like a,
Well, the police ask that in any murder. They're asked their loved ones, did he have enemies? Did he have somebody that he was in business with? These are
someone that was angry that would
but like
hold
a
a
whole
grudge?
ass country that's
Right.
known for doing this.
Right.
Like,
Right.
to me, it's like, okay, like we know the Israel kind of does stuff like this, right?
No, they're known
we
for it.
agree?
More state-sponsored assassinations. There's a movie about it. They celebrate it, like Munich. Like, look, if you do something against Israel since 1948, we're coming at you from prime minister to prime minister. They have state-sponsored assassinations all throughout their history, and more than any other country in recorded history. So I just think it's weird to like try to crawl in the mind of people that I'm normally like-minded with, and they're saying, oh, you're these types of people are conspiratards. It's like, maybe it was maybe I'm just repeating myself. Maybe Tyler Robinson was part of it, but there's almost no way it was him alone, in my view.
Yeah, heavy intervention and corroborating evidence of the Hamptons intervention to try to get him to turn back to the Israel cause. And I think losing the $2 million donor, and then Bill Ackman probably putting a lot of pressure and some other folks with that kind of money involved, it is intimidating, especially when sitting head of state Benjamin Netanyahu is inviting you to Israel to try to re-educate you in a sense, right? And you're not willing to do that.
Yes. Well, when was that? When was the BB invitation? Steph told me last time we had callers, I start looking shit up on the phone. When was the Hamptons intervention, and when was the BB invitation? I wouldn't have taken that invitation by BB either, by the way.
Right. I think the BB invitation was shortly after they knew he was turning. I'm not sure the exact dates. And then the Hampton intervention was just a couple of months before his death, from what I understand. And Candace, of course, goes back and forth on Twitter with Ackman on that. But like you said, there's just so much evidence, like prima facie, right? Like, who are the people most? And I'm so glad you got into the Google analysis of trends of who was being. That was so compelling, and that's what launched Baron Coleman really into high credibility.
That was the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great to see these Catholic influencers, exercising their faith and doing these things as well. So it's just him and Candace and others and yourself. I just encourage you to keep going on this, Tim.
Thanks, bro. I didn't know Baron was Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So based on the reporting and statements, the Hamptons meeting it's all so timely. On August 4th to 5th, Bill Ackman has publicly confirmed those dates while disputing the characterization of the meeting. So it's all culminating around late July, August. To me, it just gets more and more clear, man. Anything you look up took place in late July or August, and those unique IP addresses. If I'm a conspiratard, which is not my thing, by the way, if I'm a conspiratard, tell me why some rando in Israel was looking up Tyler Robinson, someone that we all agree he contributed nothing to the world, right? Just some confused, poor loser, angry, perhaps murderous loser. Why would he be getting looked up? Again, it's not, I made that joke to Jen.
The medical examiner and a few people at this particular hospital. And I mean, there was a number of people tangentially connected to this that were looked up.
I forgot about those. Yeah, looking up certain doctors or something at the hospital, certain surgeons.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah. You're jogging my memory. I only double checked certain of those IP searches today, but how did Baron Coleman find that? That's so obscure.
It was, I mean, he's an attorney by trade. And he is just a great investigator, and he's just been dumping, 12 to 15 hours of airtime per week on this, and who knows how many hours in the back end, just combing the internet for he's just done a phenomenal job of adjudicating this whole thing and bringing things to light that we had never thought of. It's captivated a lot of people, and I think it should, because it's the JFK of our time. And with technology and with the rise of social media and you know, the citizen journalist, as it were, you know, we can make an impact. You know,
Yeah.
It's important.
It is. What do you think? What is your characterization of Candace's view on this all? Because I've seen clips and stuff, but I haven't watched it too closely. My view's pretty independent of hers, though there might be lots of overlap.
I think she's doing a absolutely fantastic job from her perspective. I watch George Webb, who I think is a niche guy who's highly connected in believing that this is a military operation. He understands how snipers can get into the country under international sanctions and maybe even make a kill in a foreign country under international law. He goes so far as to say that, which I know is a far afield of what normal people would normally think. And then I listen to people like Baron Coleman and some other folks out there, and I think everybody's at their different stage of, was it an exploding mic from the microphone that was mounted on his chest with a directional fragment that went out of his neck as an exit wound, which our greatest ally, and you've been free willy-nilly saying Israel, so I'll say it, has been great at doing with pagers and phones.
Yeah.
And they get constituent parts of that made in a way they can't be traced directly back to them with different manufacturers. And then, just the different podcasters are at different stages of knowledge and aggregation of data. But I think Candace is doing just an absolutely phenomenal job. I mean, her viewership is extremely high. Baron Coleman gives you more content in a weekly format that she would. You want her to do more, but certainly her popularity is through the roof. And I think she's bringing things to light, like Steph was just saying, that are just guttural. Like, why is that person acting that way? Why are they super high desire for narrative control where we're just trying to gather information and we don't have any dog in the fight. We're trying to come to the truth in this whole thing. And we're not trying to control the narrative. Why so defensive when we're just spitballing as to how did this go down? I mean, Steph had a great point on that.
Yeah, because I think this touched everybody, obviously. Like you said, it was the JFK of our times. Like, all of us saw Charlie Kirk die. All of us did. It was just horrible. And I think there's a real desire, at least I know between Tim and I, where I really want whoever did this to be held account. This is just horrible. All of us watched this man die, and it's like there's a personal investment in that. Where I'm sure every single person watching this right now, you close your eyes, you can see Charlie Kirk dying. It's just I want to see whoever did this to this man get what they deserve.
Particularly if really conceptually the sort of central conceptual nexus is he's killed for becoming Catholic, if you really think about it, because there's a constellation of views on what Israel is that divides Catholics from evangelicals. And it's just not that conceptually far afield from very mainstream identifiers of what is Catholic, what is evangelical. We think we're Israel. Evangelicals think Israel is Israel. The state, the secular hyper-leftist state of Israel is actually biblical Israel. My friend Carrie Prejean Buller got removed from the presidential commission just for saying, look, I'm Catholic. I believe Israel is the church. And when Charlie was coming to that view, he was more or less killed for it, or what's called a formal accident, a formal accidental property very near to it. So I care all the more. Not only was he a good Christian man, but he was a good Christian man that was seeking out Jesus in truest form in the church. And I had friends who were friends with him, of course. Right. And why?
And Tim, you're right. You're absolutely right. They could not afford for him to make that jump. Brother John Yep, I knew him as Brother John Yep when he was studying for the priesthood for the Legionnaires of Christ. And John Yep runs Catholics for Catholics. And I'm glad you brought up Jesse. They could not afford for him to make that jump. That he becomes persona non grata. He has come to the light of knowing what. And that's the beauty of our faith, is that we know that we know that we know. And they couldn't afford for him because he would not be able to be controlled at that point. And you are very right. He may have been killed for becoming Catholic fundamentally.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually waiting for an answer to a question I asked by text, John Yep, in a group chat with Jesse. But I guess we'll see, man. The problem with saying that is let the facts play out is no one has institutional trust in the process anymore, and it's probably going to continue to be covered up. So I would, 15 years ago, I would have said, hey, trust the process, let the trial work. But hopefully,
and I think you've said many times, we may not have justice at this side of the eschaton. So we just hope that he gets off because they don't have the burden is not met.
My friend Andrew says that, not Andrew Colvett, says that St. Michael medal that he wore, again, not becoming a Catholic, he was wearing a St. Michael medal. What evangelicals wear that might be the kind of miraculous justice saver here, because its motion would not be consistent with a neck shot. There's something, there's motion from the chest area in his t-shirt, and that kind of could have been a miracle that ends up exposing the evil. That's my buddy's point of view, who's kind of pointed me to a lot of this stuff.
There was a video of that online. They released the back view, and you can see the necklace.
Can you?
Pretty clearly, yeah.
What happens with it?
I'm gonna try to find it. So if anybody,
it looks like the trajectory is.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find it.
Andrew was talking about it earlier. Yeah,
I'll try to find it. I'm just giving everybody a fair warning. If you don't want to see this, I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it on here. But
and I guess that's where you go is if the 30-06 didn't do it, then we need to open up the discussion more broadly.
Of course, you just process of elimination, right? And that's not conspiratard stuff. It's just what I think folks don't understand, and this is why everyone needs to watch JFK tonight or tomorrow night, is in conspiracies, there's always a patsy. There's usually a fall guy. And it's not 30-06 or exploding Mike. It could be a both and. It could be belt and suspenders. This is literal, because you don't tell the patsy, we're going to sell you out. Like, you use a real gun, you go do this thing. We might have our exploding Mike you don't even know about. I'm just spitballing here. You didn't even know about it. We'll do both just to make sure he gets got, and you won't know about the other thing, so you'll have a kind of plausible deniability. And this is what they do. Did Lee Harvey Oswald know there would be other shooters besides him? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, could have been siloed in their information, Manhattan Project, etc.
Precisely. So
I'll let others get involved, but Tim, really looking forward to Robert Sungenis sometime in September. I've been talking to Friar Roderick at Mother of the Redeemer in Bloomington, Indiana, about a lot of things, young earth, old earth. And if you can get Gideon Lazard and continue that conversation, it's going to help a lot of people out that are pigeonholed into one ideology or another. Because I think we hold on to strongholds in there, and we need to realize not to be scandalized. The greatest scandal happened when Christ was crucified, and that we are just seeking truth on that topic. And I just love that you guys are pursuing that more with your brother.
Yeah, thanks a million, man. I have no dog in the hunt. I think it's cool either way. And that'll be September the 4th, by the way, bro. September the 4th, it looks like, will be my brother, who I did the doubles debate with, Hugh Owen and Thomas Seiler, will go one-on-one against Robert Sungenis, because I promised Robert when I brought him on, you might or might not remember, he was wanting to get into it, and I'm like, no, I was just trying to give praise for your kind of Wolfgang Smith. And he was wanting to debate. I'm like, oh, whoa, I'll let you debate this with my geoscientist brother, and I always make good on a promise. So that should be a good
hopefully Sungenis will get into Tycho Brahe, 16th century geocentric model, and that's always an interesting discussion as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He will.
He will.
Well, God bless you.
God bless you, Tim. Great talking to you and Steph. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. God bless you.
Thank you for listening, man. It's amazing.
Take care.
You too. It's amazing having smart people in the audience so consistently. It just makes what you're doing feel a lot more important, impactful when you see who your audience is, who's kind of a reflection of yourself in a weird way. I don't know. So I always am flattered when I have smart, cool listeners like you guys, like that gentleman. So thanks.
We're gonna bring Carson on in just a second, but here's this video.
Okay.
Again,
Avert your eyes.
if you do not want to see this video, I'm giving you fair warning now to exit the room.
I kind of don't want to, but
I don't think I did see it. I don't think there's not obviously there's not an exit wound. So I don't think there's anything outside of what we have seen. So I'm just going to play it. This is reportedly, this is behind Charlie Kirk. As
I need to come cut this on video because I can't really
just this lady's voice. I don't know if you can see it. See, there's this necklace from what I can tell.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would, I wonder, this is what my buddy Andrew was talking about. Yeah. Blew them.
Man, the whole crowd. It's just horrible.
Yeah. So how would that, because of how high the bullet would have hit. It's terrible. It's just terrible. Oh my gosh. It's just so terrible. But where they're saying the bullet hit him in the neck. Yeah, God bless that guy. Seemed to be a really good dude. I hope baptism by desire is a real thing. Remember, I was debating that with someone.
Yeah.
Said a curious guy the other day. Because I hope Charlie's all good. Because he seemed like a really sincere man.
I'm going to add Carson to the show. Here we go.
The medal would have been
Carson,
too low, I guess is the...
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yo, man. How are you?
Can you hear me or no?
Yes. Oh,
Got
yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I can't hear you, bro. Well, that's not fun. Here, you know what? I might, let me try to, I'll let somebody else come up. I'll try and rejoin. Let me do that again.
Okay. All right. We'll get you back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I could hear him perfect.
Also, can I just say, this might be really insensitive, but one of the things I don't appreciate with, since the Charlie Kirk death is the what would Charlie Kirk do stuff. It's I'm sure he was a very nice guy. He obviously died tragically, but we've turned the entire conservative movement into, I'm seeing these all over the internet where it's well, Charlie would approve of this and Charlie would approve of that. He is not Jesus Christ. Okay. He is, I'm sure, was a nice guy, but when we turn everything into what would Charlie Kirk do? I'm yeah, this is going again too far.
Yeah.
It's going too far.
It matters what would Charlie do when you're taking his widowed wife at her word. And she says she wants to do what Charlie wanted her to do, which is very, very important. Is she supposed to take over the company? Remember when Andrew Colvett said he was going to troll the trolls and then maybe AI generated stuff, maybe not, but she's not doing what he was doing at the end of his life. She seems to be reversing the trajectory of what he was doing. So that matters what Charlie Kirk wanted to do. Me as a man of my own, an influencer on my own, head of my own family, I like some things about Charlie. He seemed to have high integrity and he was a Christian, but he got a lot wrong for a long time. And he looked like he was resolved to reverse all that bad work he did on Israel for the next 40 years of his life, 50 years of his life. And perhaps they killed him for it. So WWCD doesn't work unless you're taking his widow at her word, which is what we're trying to do.
I'm going to read 2 super chats before we put Carson back on. This is Possible Garbage says, love your stuff, Tim. I love your take on staying with Mother Church. I believe if the laity becomes more Dominican, I believe we can save the church.
Yeah, the laity should become more Dominican. I mean, the priest should become more Dominican, right? Thank you. I appreciate you.
Wow, this is the first time anyone's seeing you without headphones.
Yeah, it's just too hot.
Lauren says, hunting is nothing like pulling off an assassination. Doubt that he could have overcome adrenaline for the accurate single shot. His life was at risk.
Tyler? Or
I believe they're talking about Tyler. That the adrenaline would have been really high to pull off an assassination versus hunting.
Well, I mean, I don't know. People kill people every day. It's unbelievable that it happens, but it happens 19 times per weekend in South Chicago. You know what I mean? I'm not out here saying that assassinations don't happen by non-Israeli parties or something. Israel alone can pull off assassinations. I'm out here saying there's a lot of evidence that Charlie was afraid of Israel, and Charlie wasn't really afraid of random trannies. If this random tranny killed him, then there's a lot of evidence that he would have been having to patsy for Israel.
Right. Okay, let's bring Carson back in. All right, Carson, can you hear us?
What's up, Timbo?
What's up, Carson? How are you, bro?
What's up, dude? Hey, the Mexican Pollock is back. I don't know if you remember me anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, dude. No, hey, bro, I'll tell you what, dude. When he first was, when the news came out that he was assassinated, and it was gruesome, right? Like the video was absolutely awful. I remember like the whole world, like it felt like the world kind of stopped for a minute. Like my buddy who worked at the gym near me, he was like, when it happened, like everybody in the gym like stopped working out. It was like the weirdest thing ever. Like it just. But anyways, what I was saying, man, is that back view, dude, really changed my mind on like everything. Yeah, dude. Because I remember people talking about the exploding bomb and in his shirt, and I was like, all right, like okay, like come on. Yeah. Right. I was like, okay, conspiracy people, like whatever. But then when I saw that number one, they claimed it's a 30-06 that shot him, and then or a 30-06 round that shot him. And then I saw the back view, and literally it's so non-bloody that you can play it anywhere. I was like, wow, like okay, that's changing my mind now on if this whole narrative of him, shooting him from the balcony or like what the elevated surface he was on. I'm like, I don't know if I buy it, dude.
Yeah. So you buy the exploding mic?
I'm not saying that like that's for sure, but I'm saying that like it has become more plausible. That's it. Like
I wasn't asking mockingly. I don't think the exploding mic is retarded at all. I thought it was kooky at first too. Then you look into all the exploding pagers and the exploding
you told me the exploding mic, and I had the same reaction. I was like, okay. And then you're like, no. Israel does this. They actually do. They're on record of having exploding pagers and mics and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is a thing. Okay.
They had them all going off at once. Yeah. I mean, when did I don't remember when I think I only saw the back view once before now, and I can't remember what was it? Was it like a mic camera or what?
I forgot. Well, I know that Candace. So did you watch the Sean Ryan podcast that she did?
The second one, the more recent one, I haven't seen. No, I haven't seen it yet. So
apparently she said that the guy that she was trying to get this view from was like, and this is according to her, right? This is her testimony, but that he was like weirdly standoffish and like trying to not give her this video from the back view, like given some like really weird excuses of like, oh, I can't because of this and this reason, where she had never had that kind of interaction with him prior. So she was like, that was weird. Also, the fact that they put the mic on the inside of his shirt when you would put it on the outside, unless it was like super windy. But even with that, if it's super windy, there are like, devices where you can put like a windscreen on it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't windy that day, but they put it on the inside instead of the outside.
That's true.
Which is like never. Like
also, this came out again. It came out again this week. I think I'd heard it before. I might be confusing facts, but Ben Shapiro says he got a call. His security team got a call from Charlie's security team in the immediate 6 to 8 minute aftermath when he was like bleeding out in the van. What? What did you hear that? That's the most bizarre thing ever. Why would you call Ben's? I mean, a guy's bleeding out in your arms. There's 5 other guys in the van. Why would you be like, let's call some other random influencer that wasn't even friends with Charlie Kirk and let's talk security team to security team? That makes zero sense unless
it's all so weird. I mean, the fact that and this comes from Candace. She said that apparently Charlie got a call. This is coming from Andrew Colvett, that he got a call from Bibi Netanyahu in May. Right? Got a call from him in May. And she asked Erica, like, hey, what was that call about? You know what I mean? Because according to Andrew, the call was about, hey, we want to take Turning Point to the next level. That's what Andrew said it was about. And Charlie was like, no. Mm-hmm. So she asked Erica, hey, what was that call about? And this is according to Candace. But Erica said that it was because BB was just calling about a letter that Charlie had sent him like 4 months prior. And you're
I
like,
remember. Yeah.
you're like, what?
What was the letter about though? Wasn't it about his concerns with Israel, or was it
I don't
totally?
know. I didn't read. I had heard that, you know, but there's so much weirdness. I mean, the whole thing of that tweet by Andrew 10 days later about the whole Man of Steel stuff, and then, you know, Erica saying that that like, oh, this was Andrew went, according to Candace, Andrew went rogue, and the surgeon went rogue and violated HIPAA and told Andrew that it was a miracle and this and that. Like, just so much like weirdness, and like, yeah, you look at it and it sucks because we're probably not going to know the full story like ever, you know, which is rough, you know. But I mean, we can hope and pray that we know the story and that whoever's behind it comes to justice, you know.
Here's that clip of Ben Shapiro revealing that his security team was speaking with Charlie's security team while they were driving Charlie to the hospital. So weird is that is. Like, why? Why? Here you go.
So I remember where I was when all this was happening. I was in Los Angeles. I had sort of a breakfast/lunch meeting with somebody. And I got the news that Charlie had been shot, and my security was on the phone with Charlie's security because nobody knew what the hell was going on. Well, Charlie was still in the back of the car, and we were sort of getting updates along the way. At 2:40 p.m.
So unless he has two security teams and one of Charlie's security teams who was on the scene called his other security team off the scene, and that security team called Ben Shapiro. That's weird.
That's weird. Yeah, they're on the phone with Ben while Charlie's bleeding out. I mean, they're just admitting so much.
Oh, sorry.
They're admitting so much that they're not intending to. But here, the last thing I wanted to say to you, just a response to your last comment, is that it's all my brain's just been in JFK mode all day, and it's like 1963 to now. That's, you know, over 60 years, and we still don't know. So it's like, oh, we'll just trust the process and we'll eventually know. Wait a year for the full trial. Well, no, that's not true. No one believes that. We all know we're probably not going to get perfect clarity on this. And that's why the two camps, the conspiratards, the retards, I think the reasonable people, they're kind of digging in their heels because they know that we're not going to get a definitive answer that all parties can trust. It's like a coin toss, you know, cover it up. Is it heads or tails? People, you know, you don't talk that much shit if you're like, well, I think it's heads. You think it's tails. Let's find out what it is. Yeah. But if you're like, no, I know it's heads, you could root into that more. You can hedge into your position more when you know that you're never going to find out. It becomes Schrodinger's cat, kind of, if you're never going to get the reveal. And I think that's what it is. Everyone intuits, sadly, correctly, that we're not really going to get the definitive answer.
It's almost like on Nat Geo when they have like the president's book.
Right.
You know, like, like we're not going to find out what's happening unless we.
Page 47.
Page 47 of National Treasure. An excellent film.
Kind of had an unrelated question for you, Tim. But dude, so I've been not only because of you, but also because of Taylor Marshall and a lot of other people. But dude, so been going to like a very like high kind of like Novus Ordo mass recently. And gonna go to my first TLM tomorrow. First ever.
Oh, cool.
And what would you say, like, recommend, like, for me to like prepare and like because I have my regular like Roman missile. Is that gonna apply? Is that or
that's
no?
not gonna that's not gonna apply at all because the missile's totally different. So after, you can't probably pick one up tonight, but just get a nice missile for yourself. Steph got me one as a gift that you can bring with you. But I mean, just, you know, you could just go tomorrow and not even have to worry about the, you know, all the amens and the Deo Gratias and the responses in Latin. But it gets pretty easy the way it gets easy in the Novus Ordo after you go a few weeks. But you know, buy a missile tonight, not for tomorrow's mass, but for, you know, maybe next week's mass or whatever. Sorry, that's kind of advice, but yeah. No,
it's all good. I have a daily Roman missile, and but it's for the, you know, it's obviously for a different thing. But dude, I'll tell you what, because I realized that like we can't deny that like the Novus Ordo and this kind of stuff hasn't brought people into the church, because it has, you know.
Right.
Case in point, me, a lot of people, and also like
Yeah, your mom. Yeah.
at my mom's parish that she goes to, and as you would say, a very boomery kind of parish. It's pretty modernized. I mean, it's not like German modernized, but it's not like TLM either. But one of the songs they would play when I was real little was "In Christ Alone," and that's a super Protestant-y kind of song. But whenever they would play that song at the non-denom church or ecclesial community where I was at, it would always like take me back to like being at mass, dude. So it's like God can use anything, and it's not like "In Christ Alone." I think that song like theologically is fine. I mean, it does have a much of a very Protestant-y flavor because it's a sola. But yeah, dude, and like I've been in prayer about this because I signed up to play piano at my mom's boomer parish, and we're playing these songs. Like, dude, this was nuts, bro. The first Sunday that I played there, do you know what song they were playing?
What? Oh, Go Make a Difference?
No.
Eagle's Wings?
No, Reckless Love.
Oh, reckless love.
Seriously?
I swear, dude. I swear, bro. Dude, I remember or the night before, because I didn't look at the set list, and I was like, I need to talk to this music director guy. And the first thing he said to me, or one of the first things he said was like, yeah, you're not the first guy to talk about this. We've had like different catechesis directors talking about this. I'm like, what? Why do you think, bro? Like look up.
Not. Yeah, if I'm the first one to bring this up with you, then you got a problem not just with your music, but with your congregation. There should be lots of people take an issue.
I just Reckless Love is that hilarious one on Happy Gilmore, right? My reckless love. That one?
No, that's Endless.
No. It's the overwhelming. Yeah, that.
I was imagining.
Ridiculous. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. I was imagining like that Happy Gilmore scene.
No, Endless. That's Endless Love that he plays in the dark.
Okay.
Dude, it's
basically
literally
the same thing.
The never-ending careless love of God. Like if we were gonna talk to Saint Thomas, and we were gonna say, hey, can we describe God's love as thoughtless and careless? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, it's the most thoughtful kind of love, the most careful kind of love. Right. But no, dude, just from what you guys have said and other people, I was literally like just in such deep prayer about this, because I'm like, I think that I can see that people are being brought into the church by it, but I'm like, is it intrinsically evil? Maybe that song, maybe. I mean, I don't know. You can debate it, but are these songs that they're playing intrinsically evil? Like, no, I would say no, because a lot of them are theologically fine. They're very dull theologically. I mean, they're kind of just like basic and like it's not deep. But I was like, I don't want to be like contributing to this like modernism.
Of course,
you know.
Intrinsically tacky, not intrinsically evil. That's too far. Intrinsically gauche. But intrinsically gauche, but not intrinsically evil. And then when people make this overstep of boundaries, the way you'll hear SSPX guys go, it is not intrinsically evil. Lots of people came into the church in 2025 and 2026 Easters.
A lot of people.
A lot. So, and so that's your point, and I'm agreeing with it. It's mysterious what we're going through as a church now, but that absolutely, you're right to assume that. Go to the TLM when you can, and Novus Ordo the rest of the Sundays, because we have a Sunday obligation.
It annoys me, bro, when I see like Cleave to Antiquity and some of these guys posting like the very like liberal like gay stuff within the Catholic Church, and it's like, what exactly is that proving? What exactly is that proving? Is that proving that like the church is not a perfect in the sense of how the faithful are going to live it out and the clergy are going to live it out, like not a perfect institution? Like is that what you're proving? If somehow if there was an Orthodox church that had a pride liturgy, I wouldn't sit there and go, oh, full stop, Eastern Orthodoxy, is completely false because of that. You know what I'm saying?
Doesn't have real bishops or something. They think that the measure is so much higher for us, and it's really not, except on papal ex-cathedra claims. The mark isn't higher. They have real bishops. We have real bishops. We just, we have the truer ecclesiology. That doesn't mean that we have to have zero or even fewer gay bishops than them.
Totally. And you know what, bro? Hey, I won't take up much more of your time, and I'm eating some chicken and rice here, man. Trying to get big like you, Tim. Trying to get huge like you, man.
Do you want to tell what you had for dinner tonight?
What did I have for dinner tonight again?
Little Caesars.
Little Caesars.
Attaboy.
Only 2 cheese pizza pieces tonight from Little Caesars. I felt bad. I ate meat yesterday.
If anything, I should feel bad that my husband's eating Little Caesars. But to my defense, I have been helping you with the deck today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, do y'all do y'all do every Friday no meat?
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude.
we do. I mean, we do most Fridays no meat, and we do an extra penitential act if we ate meat. So I had a few pieces of chicken in a lunch salad yesterday, and I was like, it's Friday, so we'll do the full rosary tonight instead of a decade. We do the decade with the kids every night, and if we accidentally forget and eat meat sometime on a Friday, we end up doing that full rosary, which ends up being like a third of the time. So sometimes you just forget, but we try to do no meat every Friday.
Dude, that's sick. Hey, with one of these comments, man, you gotta be careful saying pizza, bro. They might start thinking something about you, too.
Yeah,
Be careful, bro.
It is.
You're not going to get in trouble from the FBI, though. You get a pass, I guess. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your remarks, and enjoy that chicken and rice, man. Sounds good.
Thank you, bro. Hey, I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
Thanks,
peace.
Carson. All right, next up is Philippe. Hello.
Oh, Philippe, what's
Hey,
up?
Tim.
Good to see you again.
It's going good. Gosh, it's good to know. I mean, it was weird when I was little because we did the no meat on Fridays just with my dad, and it was just like as far as I was concerned, it was just like an old Cajun thing. I didn't know it was like a bigger thing. It was like, oh, okay, the church used to do that. He just wants to keep it going, and rosary every night and whatever. And it's nice to know that. No, it's actually. I mean, I've known that for a while now, but it's just like when I was a kid, it was just like.
Well, even the USCCB acknowledges you have to do it, or what is it? Like a surrogative penitential act, and it's like, I don't want to get that creative. I don't know if my surrogative penitential act is big enough, So I just try to observe it on Fridays. Anyway, how are you? What's your comment, brother? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I was I guess I was just going to reiterate the same thing I was kind of hearing the other two guys talk about, and what I was kind of mentioning in some of the chat earlier. But when Charlie Kirk was first shot way back when, I remember the first time I was just like, I don't like seeing stuff like that. Obviously, not anybody else, but I was like, I feel like I kind of have to. And the first time I was just like, I don't want to see that. And then after a while, I was like, later in the day, I'm like, I kind of need to go back and check just because it's like it happened. I kind of need to absorb it or whatever, kind of see what happened. And when I saw it the second time, when I was looking, I saw, like, I thought something happened with his shirt, and then I saw something happen with his neck, and my immediate assumption was like, oh, okay. It looks like someone shot him with a rifle, whatever. It hit his body armor, and then the shrapnel hit him in the neck. And that's what I thought. I was like, that seems like the most obvious thing that happened there. It doesn't seem like a big bullet hit him in the neck, but it seems like something happened with his shirt. And so a bullet hit his shirt, it shrapneled, and it hit his neck. And then when they come out with the official version of it, like, no, they shot him in the neck with like a 30-06. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. That sounds weird. Yeah.
What are you going to tell me next? It was a 50 cal and he got shot in the neck and it didn't come through.
Exactly. Like if you're not like a gun, like I like gun tubers. I used to watch a lot of Demolition Ranch before they shut down their YouTube channel. I watched what was it? Kentucky Ballistics. I watch a lot of Kentucky Ballistics, and they always, like, a lot of these guys, they'll start with the weakest gun and they'll go up to the top. And the 50 cal is like the big gun that makes things explode. And
we saw that with shot like Play-Doh.
Yeah, like 250 pounds of Play-Doh. I think that was the Kentucky Ballistics guy.
Yeah,
for hours.
Yeah, after like Demolition Ranch went down, he was my fallback guy for stuff.
He became he was the heir apparent to
I see
Eating
like a
watermelons with 50
like
pounds. Yeah.
poised atop like a sawhorse. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is about to get interesting.
It's about to get
You have
exploded.
my attention.
But like, if you ever watch those shows, there's the progression of the guns, and like the middle bit, we're like, okay, we're getting serious, right? We're going to 50 cal. I mean, not 50 cal. We're going to 30-06, whatever. That's when, you know, if they're shooting a body armor, that's where you see it really kick. That's where you see it make a dent. That's where the big stuff happens. And so it's just like, if you know guns, or maybe you can watch one of those shows if you're not sure, just like anyone out there. You can see the progression. You can see how powerful this gun is compared to some of the other stuff out there. So
Of course, usually the inflection point's the NATO round, you know, the 223. Okay. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, this is getting serious. And then 30-06 is well beyond that. And, you know, okay. Well, no, I'm agreeing with you. If you know ball, it's like, yeah, you know, this is a through and through wound for sure. You know, 999 times out of 1,000. So
yeah, I mean, and it was a little weird because a lot of the discussion was like, oh, no one can make a shot from that distance, and people were kind of going back and forth about it. But that was the only argument people were making. They weren't talking about like this particular thing, at least with the people I was listening to.
People were saying,
this is, by the way, the video on the screen is what we were watching. Tim and I started watching like all of this guy's like content. He had our attention. When I saw that like mound of Play-Doh and the gun, I was like, sir,
we're doing this.
I will take a seat.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for this.
Yeah, but that was retarded back in September when people were like, oh, 200, you got to be an expert to make a 200-yard shot. Like prone, you got to be a retard to miss a 200-yard prone shot. Like,
yeah, that's
not,
where it shows like the people who the conspirators versus people who know that.
Right.
That was that's where they were making their arguments, and it wasn't helping anything. So.
Exactly. That was dumb. And I said it was dumb. I said it on this channel. I was like, 200-yard shot prone is impossible to miss. You're doing nothing but this. You know, you're not even, you know, you can use your front hand to stabilize the gun or not in a prone position. So, yeah.
Did he have a body armor, by the way? Because I assumed that when I saw the thing. Did Charlie did he have body armor on when it happened?
No, I don't think he did. Did he? Does anyone know?
I thought he did.
Did he?
Andrew,
I mean, but why wouldn't he? You know, like why? Why would they not have him wearing that?
A lot of people were saying that he would have had it, but I guess I never got confirmation on that. But
yeah, I'm asking my buddy. Or I could just ask ChatGPT.
Your buddy. Oh, I thought you were talking about ChatGPT as your buddy.
No, I always call ChatGPT my girl.
Yeah, I know. Tim and I always joking about that. ChatGPT is his side piece. So he's always asking her questions.
I stole that from Scott.
When does Lowe's close? I'm like, I could also just like type that in for you. I would like to do that secretarial work for you. You don't have to go to ChatGPT for this.
No, according to John Bray, he did not have body armor on. According to John Bray, according to my friend Andrew, no, he didn't. So, anyway, yeah, it's. All right. I went through a similar progression to you. It sounds like, and it's all kind of fishy.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wish there were some people who can kind of jump on here and give you a little bit, like actually, you know. Put some arguments out there, you know, contrary.
There's somebody in chat who was super mad that you were going after Erica Kirk.
Now that I don't get
Veiled
at all.
Warrior, this is your turn.
That I don't get at all. I don't.
All right, Veiled Warrior, there's a link in chat. Let's have you on the show. Let's have it out.
Yeah, what do you do?
I was making your mom jokes back to this person, and they thought it was you. And they're like, "What will your wife think about this?" And I'm like, "Well, you'll never guess."
My wife is making your mom jokes. Do you see a keyboard here?
You will never guess. Actually, it's making your mom jokes in chat. Okay. Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, brother.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll see what becomes of this. We won't hear anything for the rest of July and August, but back in September we'll get the end of the preliminary round and then the trial probably in 2027.
All right, yeah, I guess we'll see. Keep watching. All right,
we'll be lied to more then, so I look forward to it.
Oh yeah. All right, see you, Tim.
See you, bro.
All righty.
All right. Well, if what's his face isn't going to jump in, then I'm happy to jump off. God bless you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for if you think there's any major facts I'm missing here, this is not like my area. So point me in their direction or vice versa, because I'm happy to hear. Like if you're on normie on this and you think I'm missing one of the main, NPC lone gunman points, then show me it. Email it to me or leave it a comment, better yet, on the YouTube video. Same thing if you're a lone Israel conspiratard, as you've been dubbed. I'm probably a little closer to you guys just because I do think it's Israel with Tyler McTroon. But, point me in the direction. Anyway, that's the most important thing, uniting everything I've been doing, whether we're talking about SSPX or talking to Father Chad Ripperger about demons, or we're talking about young earth, old earth, or any of the myriad things you can debate within the Catholic world, or you're talking about speculative view on news and current events. Just always, this is a corny, closing note, public announcement, but I just sincerely try to act as if I don't have a dog in the fight. By act, I don't mean fake it. I mean remind myself that I don't have a dog in the fight. I just want to know what the truth is. So whatever it ends up being, you're only pointed at true north if you're somewhat open. And I'm willing to hear from people. Thanks for listening tonight. Enjoy your Saturday night and Sunday, and do have a look at Ollie Stone's JFK. It's a great, great movie, one of my favorites. And there's a lot more analogy here than a lot of people have pointed out so far. God bless you. Day is full.